In this video, I'm going to teach you how to create a pre-performance routine just like I do with my professional athletes. So just like a physical warm-up, pre-performance mental routines are recognized by many athletes as being an important part of their preparation for competition. But even though they recognize it as important, I still meet many athletes who do very little when it comes to mental preparation. And this is because either they don't know what to do or how to do it, or they have very little knowledge about how to even get started creating a pre-performance routine. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 3 key elements that any pre-performance routine should have so you can mentally prepare for your competitions just like my professional athletes prepare for theirs. I'm going to get to those 3 elements here in just a second, but since we're on the topic of helping you better mentally prepare for your competitions, I have a free gift for you today for stopping by the channel. I want you to get over to trainwithperk.com/free guide. That free guide contains 3 easy steps to better help you mentally prepare for your next big moment. Again, that's trainwithperk.com/free guide. The first key element to any pre-performance routine is purpose. Now, when I talk to many athletes and have them describe to me what their pre-performance routine is, I'll often hear things like, I take deep breaths, or I listen to music, or I just spend some time thinking about the game before the competition starts. Now, honestly, none of those 3 things are necessarily wrong, but the weakness in that approach is when I ask the athletes why they do these things, and they really don't have a concrete answer except for the fact that it's just something they've always done. So to be clear, doing things just because it's what you've always done is not a solid pre-performance routine. A solid pre-performance routine has purpose built into every single thing that the athlete does. So if we use an example from before, if an athlete were to say, I'm taking deep breaths to help me slow my heart rate so I can conserve energy before the competition begins, that would be a very clear purpose for why they're doing what they're doing. Now, in order to even establish that purpose, the athlete has probably already taken some time to recognize that in the past they've been a little bit too amped up, and they also have a tendency to waste a lot of energy before competition. So they've incorporated deep breathing into their pre-performance routine for that explicit purpose of not allowing that to continue to happen. So that brings us to the all-important question. How do you start to establish purpose for your pre-performance routine? One step would be to think about what the best version of you looks like, and then install things into your pre-performance routine that will consistently move you towards that best version of yourself. In that free guide I mentioned before, I have an entire section laid out that's really going to help you define what this best version of you looks like. So make sure that after this video, you go get that free copy. So one example of athletes being at their best that's even common amongst my professional athletes is that when they're the best version of themselves, they're able to simply keep their mind in the moment. So my athletes have a very simple set of exercises that they do before every single competition to gain control over their attention and to help keep their focus in the present moment. I'll leave a link to that video above. So what I would encourage you to do is to identify 3 or 4 things that define you as the best version of yourself. Also identify 3 or 4 additional things that tend to cause you to struggle. And then simply build in something into your pre-performance routine that's going to help account for each one of those things. If that makes sense to you, hit that thumbs up button for me right now. All right, key element number 2 of any pre-performance routine is timing. When we decide to do something is just as important as what we decide to do when we're trying to prepare for competition. For example, it wouldn't make any sense for an athlete to get themselves super focused 5 hours before a game even starts, because by the time the game gets there, they're not going to have any mental energy left to focus on the actual game. It also wouldn't make any sense to be making decisions about your overall strategy or approach immediately before the game even starts, because those things should have been decided and figured out long before the competition. Now, the great thing here is that you can completely customize this to yourself, but you do want to be asking yourself, when does it make the most sense to be doing each part of your pre-performance routine? A piece of advice that I'll offer you as you're trying to figure this out is to divide up the time period before competition into their own separate time blocks. So for example, 1 hour to an hour and a half before competition is its own individual time block that you're going to do something very specific during that time. Write down these different blocks, these different individual time segments, and then decide what part of your routine are you going to do for each block. Then take a step back and look at it and ask yourself, does this make sense from a timing standpoint? And if it does, you're good to go to try it. Leave me a comment below telling me one part of your pre-performance routine, as well as when do you decide to do this. All right, the final element of your pre-performance routine is the mental skills that you select to help you prepare. And the fact is that any routine is only as good as the skills that you select. And those skills are only going to be as beneficial to you as the amount of time that you spent practicing and developing those skills. For instance, in the example where we talked about the athlete who's using deep breathing as a way to not burn up too much energy before competition, sounds like a great strategy, but it's only going to work if they've decided to practice it. Because if the first time that an athlete tries to calm themselves down with their breathing is immediately before a competition, odds are they aren't going to have much success. And many athletes forget this. Many athletes forget that you actually need to build up the mental skill first before you take it to competition. Because if they don't, then they get to the competition and they try this mental skill that they've heard in a video or that they've read about on the internet, and the mental skill doesn't work for them because they haven't practiced it. And then they think mental training is dumb. Well, mental training is not dumb. You just need to do the training part of it first. Because there's a reason why when you first walk into a weight room and you go up to the squat rack, that you don't immediately throw 300 pounds on that squat rack. Odds are you probably have to learn how to get good at squatting first before you even add the weight. Mental skills are no different. You cannot expect a breathing technique to work for you in the high stress, chaotic environment of sport without practicing it first before you take it to the competition. So for any skill that you select to be a part of your pre-performance routine, make sure that you practice it. And if you're not sure what skill to do or not sure how to practice specific skills, I've got an entire playlist on my YouTube channel. So make sure that you subscribe and get over there and watch some more of those videos. If there's a specific skill that you want me to cover and that already hasn't been covered, leave me a comment anywhere on my channel and I'll make sure to get a video made for you. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure that you get over there, trainwithperk.com/free guide to get your 100% free copy of that guide. I'll see you next week.